Hi friends, I know it's been a while. I haven't uploaded to this channel for a little while, but I am fed up with myself, and this is something that is uncomfortable for me to talk about. But I have a commitment on this channel especially to share what I think is helpful. And also this time I'm hoping that by sharing this, you all will be able to help me. At the same time that I'm talking to you, I'm actually going to be what I would think of as double working here, which is making a video for YouTube, obviously, but I'm also working on a new class. And at the moment I'm up to a part where I just need to be weaving. And so that's what I'm doing while I'm talking to you. Double working. Works well for me, multitasking, you know. All right, so what am I fed up about? Something that I know that many of you will understand very easily. I'm fed up with being overweight. I'm fed up with not doing my best for my health. I am fed up with making excuses for myself, using my disease, using my time of life, whatever it is, to excuse the fact that I'm overweight. I was looking back through some photos today. I was actually looking for a weaving photo because I'm very disorganized and I never label photos so that I can find them again. So then I have to go searching for them. But I saw a photo of myself from 5 years ago. And that was the last time that I was at a weight that I was really happy with. I have no desire, I never have had any desire to be a skinny person. That doesn't interest me at all, but I know for myself when there is too much weight on. I know how it makes me feel. I know that I really need to do the best for my health. And so that's what this video is all about. A little bit of backstory in case you haven't come across me before. And I have been on YouTube for a long time, but I have a weaving lessons channel, which will be linked down below if you want to check that out. But this obviously is not my weaving lessons channel. This is a little bit more of a personal channel. So my backstory is that, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's in my early 20s. Obviously I'm not in my early 20s now. And I lived with it for a very long time without too many effects. Some of the things that I've had to go through with my health, I now realize was a result of the Hashimoto's, but I was diagnosed in a time where there was no internet. I couldn't go and just research the condition. I didn't probably feel confident enough to research it on my own anyway. And obviously now we just have so much information. We have support groups and all of that. I'm also in a perimenopausal time, and it's really the perimenopause crashing head on into the Hashimoto's that has undone my health. Now I have done a lot in the past couple of years to try to improve that situation, and that is an ongoing process. I have a good doctor who is helping me. There's so much more that I could say about the perimenopause and everything, but that would probably be best to go into another video because we could be here all day for all the stuff that's happened in the past couple of years and how I have been dealing with it. But today I really want to focus on the weight because my word of the year, I don't always choose a word of the year, but I did this year, is strong. So my 3 principles for that word were strong faith, strong goals and intentions, and a strong body. And so it's the strong body that I'm mostly focusing on today. A lot of women, especially women with an autoimmune disease and entering the menopause time of life, they find it so hard to lose weight. And that is what I have found as well. I find that I put on weight very, very easily now. I always have, but it's gone next level now. And that the changes that I have made over the past couple of years, although they've helped, they're not enough. And so I'm at the point now where I'm fed up and I want to rejig everything, and I've started to rejig everything. And I thought it might be helpful if I share with you what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just a person, I'm just sharing stuff. So for all of my life, from childhood, especially adolescence, up until now, my weight has been up and down. I've never been stable for any good length of time. When I was a child, I wasn't an overweight child, as a lot of people, have that problem and then struggle with it all their lives. I wasn't actually an overweight child. I was a healthy weight. However, I had a body, and I still have a body, that was different to the other kids at school. And so I was bullied for the shape of my body, but I was bullied as though I was a fat kid when I wasn't. Okay, so my build is that I have always had large hips, large backside, and nothing that I've ever done, any amount of exercise, any amount of weight loss has really changed that. My body shape stays the way it is, and I don't have a problem with my body shape. Some other people do. So basically for my entire life, my weight has been an issue that keeps cropping up and that I have a lot of mental baggage about that I would love to let go of. But again, that's probably another video to even begin talking about all of that. For anyone who has been bullied for anything in particular, you know exactly what I mean. But I'm at the point now where I'm old enough to be fairly confident in myself and not care about what other people think of me, but to do what I think is best for me and for my family. And so that helps a lot, but I still have so much mental baggage about that. And so I've had an unhealthy relationship with food. I also grew up, I was born in the late 70s, I grew up in the early 80s, and all the women around me were dieting. It was the thing. It was what people did, what women did especially. All the fad diets, all the rubbish, all the crazy exercising, aerobics videos, all of that. I grew up with that as though that was normal for a woman to have to do. So that also has been quite an issue, as I'm sure it is for many of you, that to try and change the way that you've always thought about things is really difficult, because things become so ingrained when you're a child. An example of that is thinking that you have to starve yourself in order to lose weight. Now, I've lost weight and regained it repeatedly over the years, repeatedly. It has been my life. And the way that I've lost weight every single time has been by not eating enough, because how else do you lose weight? So that has been the way for me. And now that I'm at this time of life, and now that I really need to take care of myself, to do my best for myself with this autoimmune disease, I need nourishing food. Not only have I had weight gain in these later years, but I also, but my body is changing. The weight accumulates in different places more than it used to. And so I'm noticing real changes with my body that I don't like either, that make me feel uncomfortable. I have this association of if someone's overweight, then they're lazy. You know, we've all heard that. I remember one time years ago, I was out walking, and I don't think I was even overweight at this time, but I was out doing a regular walk because I love walking. It's a big thing for me. And this guy was driving past in a truck, and he wound down the window and said, "Keep walking, sweetheart." You know, like as if you've got a lot to go. There's so much there to lose. I guess he was the kind of guy who just likes skinny girls, but there have been so many comments like that over the years that just weigh on you mentally. Like, you wish that they didn't. You'd want to just go, "Oh, that person's an idiot." You know, who would wind down their window and call out something offensive to somebody else? It happens. And then yeah, it's somehow stuck. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to talk about now the changes that I'm implementing. So last year, I was doing pretty well, let's say mid-year to October, November. I was actually really happy with my progress because although I wasn't actively losing weight, I was really happy with how healthy my diet was, the amount of exercise I was getting in, I was getting good sleep, you know, all of those kind of pinnacles. Everything was like, yes. I even remember saying to someone at that time, I'm probably the healthiest now that I've ever been in my life as far as lifestyle goes. And then towards Christmas, I don't know, just a bunch of things started happening. It just got really, really busy. I'm not normally the sort of person to get busy at Christmas time. I don't do all of that racing around or anything, but there were just a lot of things happening that needed my attention. And although I try actively not to get too busy, it just kind of happened. I had quite a few commitments. I didn't want to let people down and all that kind of thing. Anyway, got too busy and got really exhausted. Now, when I get exhausted, which is really often, when you have Hashimoto's, for a lot of people, you're pretty much tired all the time. But there are times where you kind of have a flare-up, and usually that is coupled with like a complete exhaustion, inability to really do very much, and you just kind of fall in a hole. And when that happens, then everything goes in that hole with me. The healthy eating, the exercise, the good sleep, all of it. So I, at this point, am still trying to work my way back from that. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about my situation and what I wanted to do to change, because I was thinking, okay, I'm starting to get back on board with the health thing, but I'm still not losing weight. And obviously what I'm doing is not working. And so I thought it's time to do some more drastic things. But saying that, the drastic things have to be achievable because I'm a very busy person. I have to be able to work anything extra that comes along. I have to be able to try and work it into what's already there, and what's already there is a lot. So I decided that I needed, for my physical and my mental health, to start walking again, because I just kind of stopped. I don't know why. I guess it was just the exhaustion and everything. I just couldn't contemplate getting my shoes on and going out for a walk, even though I know I feel so much better once I've done it. I just couldn't do it for ages. And I felt really awful about that, and I knew that was one of the things that was missing that I needed to re-implement. So I said to myself, okay, it's probably too much to say I'm going to walk for an hour a day, okay, because that is a commitment. That's 1 hour in my day that I need to find to not only have the energy to do, but to make the time to do, and then other things won't get done as a result of that. So I said to myself, 10 minutes of exercise a day. That is what you're going to do. And you can have 2 to 3 break days a week, depending on how you're feeling, because I have to listen to my body. If that's one thing I've learned with Hashimoto's, you've got to listen to what your body's telling you or you will crash. So I started with the 10 minutes a day. The way that I started was I had to eliminate any excuses. Now, the weather's been very hot here recently. It's also been very windy, and it's kind of dangerous to go walking when it's very windy around here because we have trees, a lot of trees, and they do drop limbs and they do randomly fall over and all that kind of thing. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that. And that was one of the excuses that I'd been using. I can't go today. It's too windy, it's too hot, whatever. And so I looked up on YouTube 10-minute walking workouts, and I found heaps of them. And I just started with the first day and thought, I'll just do this. If I need to modify the exercises to kind of ease back in, That's what I'll do. I'm not concerned about that. It's about the movement. It's about getting that movement going. By the end of the first week, I had bumped it up to 15-minute walking workouts, and then I kept doing that, and then I would go out for a walk when it was possible. And sometimes I would do the walking workout here and also go out for a walk at another time during the day if I had time for it. And that was going really well for me. You notice that I'm saying was. It's just because this week I had a back spasm, not related to the exercise that I was doing, not at all. This is just another of my issues that happens from time to time. Usually it means I'm in bed for 3 full days, and then at least a week of recovery after that. Thankfully this time it wasn't too bad. I spent 1 day in bed and then I got up the next day, and it's been 4 days since, and now I'm weaving. I went for a 40-minute walk this morning. I'm doing really well, so I'm so grateful for that. So I did have to stop my workouts during the week, but now I'm back on board. And you know what? Those workouts, I'm enjoying them so much. I think I'm going to do some like music playlists for myself and make up my own workouts, because I know what kind of movement and exercise I really like. And yeah, why couldn't I make my own? Wouldn't that be fun? But I'm really enjoying it. It is great. And on the hot days, I can turn the air conditioner on and exercise in front of that, and I'm quite comfortable. And I love that. That is great. So that eliminates that excuse of the weather. Okay, so that was what I started with a couple of weeks ago, because I didn't want to try and do too much at once. Then I started thinking more about my diet. One of my main problems is I overeat. I generally eat very healthy food. My husband grows a lot of our food here on the property. We have some of our own meat from the property, not all the time, but sometimes at least. But we have a lot of vegetables and fruit from our own property. And yeah, my diet's actually pretty good. I just eat too much. So I started looking at why would I eat too much? One reason is I'm hungry. I feel like I'm hungry most of the time. Maybe not directly after a meal, but within an hour or two, I'm hungry again. That's something that would get me really, really down. I felt really depressed about, because I always feel like if I'm going to lose weight, it has to be deprivation. And that's what has made it so unsustainable over the years. That's why I keep putting the weight back on every single time. Because who can starve themselves willingly, or even go on a lot less food willingly? Not me. Not long term. Maybe short term I can do it with great motivation. But long term, no, I can't do that. So then I started looking at ways that I could be satisfied by the amounts that I ate, but not necessarily eat more in order to be satisfied. So then I started looking at the nutrient density of the food that I was eating. So something that I've typically done a lot is eat, breads and grains and those kind of simple carbohydrates that don't really fill you up over time. And, I've looked at all the diets. I've looked at the carnivore and keto and paleo, and in my desperation, I was even looking at diet shakes, which would be an absolute nightmare. Can you imagine? Maybe you've done it yourself, but I was tempted to go on these diet shakes and do meal replacements with these shakes from a packet that you mix up with water or skim milk or something like that. And that's supposed to satisfy you. You can have like one meal in the day. And I thought, well, yeah, that I would lose weight doing that. For how long? Who could live on those things? Who could live on them? And when you think about it, it's something from a packet. So it's a processed food. And I don't want that. I've been pretty good about eliminating most processed foods from my diet over the years because, especially in the past couple of years, because I started having these horrible inflammation reactions and I didn't know what was causing them. I've been to a specialist. I've had the full test on my arm to see what my allergens are. And there were only a couple on there that showed up as very mild things, and they weren't food. So I still don't know what causes the reactions, but I know that cutting out the processed foods, whether it stops the reactions or not, it's going to help me a lot. Interestingly, in the past 6 months or so, I've only had one reaction, whereas the previous year I was at the emergency room because I was having an anaphylactic reaction randomly. So that was scary. And that's another thing that's been happening to me over the years, but that was something that I just developed. So anyway, I started paying more attention to food and relation to food and allergies and all of those things. And even if I don't have any particular foods as an allergen, it still makes total sense for me to not eat things that are really processed. It's so different to go and pull a carrot out of your garden or eat some meat that's been raised and slaughtered on your own property than eggs from your own chickens, than it is to going to the supermarket and grabbing a packet off the shelf and putting it in your cart. It's just like a totally different lifestyle. Even though we still go to the supermarket, we have to because we don't have enough produce to cover everything. It's still just so rewarding and to know exactly what goes into your food and to have single ingredient foods. So that brings me to the next thing that I have just started doing and experimenting with this week. So although I had cut out most of the processed foods, I was still treating myself, I guess, occasionally, and sometimes much more than occasionally, on things that weren't good for me. So what I'm trying now, and I've really only started this week, so I feel like a little bit of a phony coming here and making this video about weight loss or potential weight loss when I'm only just starting to do this more seriously. But at the same time, I thought, well, I haven't done this before. I haven't made a video about this. And so maybe talking about it is going to be more helpful. Maybe it will make me more accountable, and also help me hopefully document some of my progress. Okay, so my plan going forward and what I've implemented the past couple of days is to do an animal-based diet. If you don't eat animal products or you have a different kind of diet, that's fine. Absolutely, you're free to do whatever you like, but don't come at me for choosing an animal-based diet. From my research and from just my eating journey, I know that this is a really good fit for me. So the idea of an animal-based diet is, and it's not as extreme as it sounds, it's not as extreme as carnivore. There are all different levels of carnivore, of course. But the main principles of an animal-based diet will be meat, eggs, cheese, and like heavy dairy products like that, honey, fruit, and some vegetables. So a lot of that is really what I was eating already, but I also was putting in the extras, and I wasn't necessarily focusing on making the most of each meal with its nutritional density to try to address this problem of always feeling hungry or always feeling like eating. Either one. I think really for me it is a physical hunger. And no, I don't want to go on hunger suppressants. I'm not interested in that. I like to be as natural as possible. And if I'm going to lose weight, I want to do it through a natural, healthy lifestyle. If you have had success with weight loss surgery, or if you are doing the Ozempic or whatever it is, I have no judgment on you. I actually think that's really great for some people, especially if they're very overweight, as a kind of Kickstarter. But for me, I don't want that. And I'm in a privileged position really, of being able to eat a lot of foods, as I said, that's grown on our own property. And also to have a business that allows my husband to basically make it his full-time job to grow our food and cook our food and help to keep us all healthy. Some of you might be interested to know what you might be eating on an animal-based diet, and it's really individual. So I'll tell you what I've been eating, or I'll give you an idea of what I've been eating, just so that you've got some sort of idea. So for breakfast, I have fresh fruit from our own property. So this morning I had 2 small nectarines with 2 passion fruit and 2 tablespoons of Greek natural yogurt, full fat. I say 2 tablespoons, but that's kind of an estimate, just to give you an idea of the quantity, because people always want to know about quantities. For lunch, I had a beef patty with a fresh tomato that my husband grew, with fresh zucchinis my husband grew, and a couple of other vegetables, and also a beautiful dip that my husband makes from his own cucumbers, that he grates them up and then he mixes them up with the Greek yogurt. It's a kind of a tzatziki, if you know what I mean, but then he adds in like extra spices and stuff for flavor. He's a great cook. Another reason, possibly, another excuse for my weight issues is, yeah, we have a lot of good food and he is a great cook. So it's tempting to always eat a little bit more than you need. Okay, so that's my lunch and dinner. It's afternoon when I'm filming this, but I can use yesterday afternoon as an example for what I might be eating for the rest of the day. So I would have a sliced up apple with maybe a teaspoon or so of natural peanut butter. Peanut butter is something that I'm fairly well addicted to, but I've swapped from the manufactured, highly processed peanut butter to the natural. It took a little bit of adjusting to, but now I find the other one is too sweet. It tastes like a lolly in comparison. The natural one that I'm getting, it's just peanuts and salt, and it's delicious. I love it, especially with like an apple or another piece of fruit or something, just on its own. It's really yummy. So that would be an afternoon snack. And then for dinner, well, tonight we are having some pork, because my husband just went to a butcher and got some fresh pork. It's not something that we have a whole lot because it's quite expensive, but something that we love. And we'll probably have some garden vegetables or salad with that as well. So as a comparison, last night we had chicken and then a variety of roast vegetables with that dip that I was talking about, the cucumber dip, some corn from the garden, some zucchini from the garden. So fresh, delicious vegetables. And I had like 2 roasted chicken wings. After dinner, I had a small piece of dark chocolate. That's another one of my addictions, chocolate. Now throughout the day, I usually have tea and coffee, and then at nighttime I have a cocoa. So I do have like regular dairy milk in those throughout the day. So that counts as an extra food as well. Okay, so that's the basic idea of what I'm doing currently. I am being careful about my portion sizes, but I'm more being mindful of the nutrient density of each meal and balancing out a bit of meat with a bit of vegetable or fruit or whatever. Now, I will say honestly, I have been hungry since I started implementing this. I'm going to try to stick it out as I have been going, and then next week, I don't know, I'm thinking about weighing myself next week because I weighed myself right before I started this. But the scale has always been a real pitfall for me as well, because if the scale hasn't moved, or if it's moved up or whatever, I just lose all hope and I abandon the journey. And I've seen so many people online saying, don't look at the scale, do measurements of yourself and that sort of thing and see how you feel, how your clothes feel, all that kind of thing. So I did take all my measurements as well, and I'll decide next week whether I want to weigh myself or not. I probably will, because the scale has been such a constant throughout my life, which I know is also not a positive thing, but it's a good indicator. Well, it can be an indicator. It's not so helpful for me these days because of hormonal fluctuations, which totally mess with your weight. But we'll see how that goes. The main thing is that I want to stick to what I'm doing. I guess the idea of weighing myself is to see if I have lost some weight within a week or so of doing this, then can I increase the food a little more so that I'm not hungry and so that it becomes more sustainable. Because I see a lot of people on the animal-based diet saying to, well, especially on carnivore, they say eat until you're stuffed. Well, I can tell you that if I eat meat until I'm stuffed, if I eat eggs until I'm stuffed, I'm going to put on weight. It's just how it is. I can't stuff myself with these really heavy foods, but I can eat those foods and try to come to some sort of balance between, see how much I can actually allow myself to have. I'm not going to give you my weight because I don't think that's necessarily helpful. It's not that I'm embarrassed. It's just that there are too many variables with weight, and I guess it gets to a point where it's just not so relevant because it depends on, your race, your time of life, your height. It's too much it becomes unhelpful. So I will say that ideally I would like to lose 10 kilograms. Not sure how many pounds that is. Is that over 20 pounds? I think so. That would be ideal, but because I'm just at the start, I want to be very realistic about this. And so I would say if I lose 5 kilograms, so half of that amount, I would be happy with that, as long as I was eating healthily and exercising and feeling really good. Ultimately, that's what this is about feeling as good as I can, feeling strong, because to be honest, I haven't felt strong in a really, really long time. I feel weak in my body. I feel like I can't cope with very much physically. And I realized recently how sedentary I've become. I hadn't thought too much about this, but then I started to remember that when I was younger, I used to be on the move all the time, just through the activities that I was doing. I wasn't really a sporty person. I never really have been, though I have played some sports as a teenager or whatever. That was more about trying to fit in. But into my young adulthood, I certainly did exercise consciously, but also I would just be moving a lot. I would be stretching. I did ballet for many years, so stretching was kind of just a normal part of my daily activity. It wasn't even something that I really thought about. I might just be lying around on the floor watching TV or something, like I spent most of my time doing as a teenager. But I would be stretching and I'd be doing leg exercises and stuff like that because it was, I don't know, it was just what I did. I didn't really think about it. So I started thinking about that recently, and I just realized how much I used to move and how little I move now. So something I've also started doing, in addition to my 10 minutes. Now the 10 minutes is the minimum, right? I can do more than that if I want to, but not less. So that's my little commitment to myself. I've got another video on here about the 10-minute rule. You can split things up into 10-minute bouts in order to get more done and be more productive. Anyway, so in addition to that exercise, I've started to try to be more aware of my movement throughout the day And for example, I might be sitting here weaving for half an hour, and then I'll hop up and I'll grab my hand weights and I'll just kind of walk around the studio a few times and do a few repetitions of that. Another example, such an easy way to get just little bits of training into the day is my 2 cast iron pots. I've got one that's a little bit smaller and one that's a little bit bigger. But I have to store them at the other end of the house in the linen press. We just don't have a lot of storage space in our house, and there's really none in the kitchen. So when I've used them, I have to take them from the kitchen up to the other end of the house. It's not a huge house or anything, but still, it's a distance. So while I'm carrying the pot, a handle in each hand, I'll just be lifting it up and down. Things like that. Just simple things that you can incorporate, whereas, you know, you might normally just not think at all. You're just trudging up, putting the pot away and being like, oh, this is kind of heavy. But instead, actually utilizing that weight as you go makes it pretty achievable. So yeah, I've just started doing things like that. And I was lying in bed the other night and I couldn't sleep. And so I just started doing some leg stretching and some leg exercises like I used to do when I was a teenager. Thankfully, I still have a bit of flexibility from my ballet days. Still have to go a bit easy on myself, but yeah, I just started doing them and I was like, I used to do this all the time. Why did I forget? How could I forget? I don't know. It's just, you just get busy in life, don't you? Especially after you have children. And you're just all about them, and there's just not the time to think. I guess your mind shifts into go, go, go mode. And so, yeah, when I was a teenager, I had more time to just do those kind of things. So that's the basics of what I'm doing, what my plans are. And I'm hoping that by coming here, it is going to make me more accountable. And I'm hoping that some of you, I know a bunch of you from being my weaving students and from chatting online. I know a bunch of you are in the same situation. You're overweight, you're menopausal, you might be postmenopausal, and you're just tired of yourself. You're like, I'm so sick of myself. I'm tired of having no energy. I'm tired of being weak. I'm tired of feeling all flabby and not liking the way that I feel or look. I know there are heaps of you women out there in that same situation. And so I'm hoping that some of you would like to join along and maybe try to implement some positive changes in your lives as well. Or if not, just to be there as a bit of support for me, because I really need it. And I need to finally, at the age of nearly 49, I need to have that mental shift of saying, well, even if I don't lose the weight that I want to lose, I need to do the best for my health. And it can't always be about the weight. It has to be about general health. And I'm hoping that through that, the weight will just naturally shift anyway. But I have to be okay with that possibly not happening and continue on to do the best for my health anyway. What do you think? I don't know. I feel kind of excited about this. I feel a bit apprehensive. I don't trust myself at all to keep going with this. But I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my best shot because I don't want to feel fed up with myself anymore. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And hopefully I will see you soon with some updates.